at the Comfortnoti Teaching Hospital and also the founder and president of Enidaso Parkinson's Disease Foundation. Doc, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Let's talk about Parkinson's disease. What is it for those who don't know about it at all?
All right. So Parkinson's disease, it's a neurodegenerative disease. So it means it affects your brain and it's associated with aging, mostly seen in above 60 years.
Okay.
What happens in Parkinson's disease is that there's a part of your brain called the basal ganglia.
Right.
And those cells should produce dopamine, which is a chemical you need to be able to move. It also regulates your emotions and all that. And that chemical, for some reason, cells in that area die off and are not able to produce that dopamine. And so it leads to muscle stiffness, slowness, and then tremors. You can have the tremors in the head, the hands, the leg, and mostly starts on one side of the body. So sometimes people confuse it with a stroke because stroke also happens on one side of the body. But yes, that's Parkinson's disease, and so it's a movement disorder. So there are symptoms that have to do with movement.
Right. Is it hereditary?
Yes.
You can get it from your parents or from a bloodline.
So yes, there are genetic risk factors. So we've realized, research has shown that in about 26% of patients, there is a genetic risk that led to the development of Parkinson's disease. But majority of the cases, we cannot explain why that happens. And it's attributed to more of what the environment does. Because sometimes people have the genetic risk actually, but do not develop the disease.
Okay.
So having the genetic risk means you are likely to get it, but it doesn't necessarily mean you will get it. And the challenge too with the genetic risk is also the fact that the genetic risk factors for Parkinson's disease has not been evaluated well in the African population. So the ones that we found, when you look into the white population, you check the same risk factors in Africans, and we don't have them. So it means there should be more research to find out which ones put us at risk as Africans or Ghanaians. And yes, so we believe it's an interplay between the environment and your genetics. And the environment, you're talking about long-term pesticide use, so paraquat and the rest used industrially, but you have to be exposed for a very long time. And then also contaminants, heavy metals contaminating our waters, so manganese, mercury,
lead, all those cyanide.
Yes. But mostly manganese and mercury are linked to Parkinsonism.
I see. We will get to talk about symptoms in a bit, and if you have a question, please join us. 055-924-2717. That's 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. The 055-691-0154 and 055-924-2717. We want to get you involved in this conversation, and most importantly, so we'll talk about symptoms. Let's get there. What symptoms am I to look out for?
All right. So there are two blocks of symptoms. We have symptoms related to movement and symptoms not related to movement.
Okay.
So for symptoms related to movement, one of the earliest signs is that you realize that your handwriting is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller.
Hey.
Yes.
Smaller.
Yes. So the way you write, you realize it's becoming smaller. So the size becomes smaller gradually. And then the tremor, which usually it starts on one side of the body and it's gradual. So that's the difference between that and stroke. Stroke is sudden. You are well and suddenly you cannot move one side, you cannot speak. But Parkinson's is gradual.
Over time.
How
long does it take usually?
It affects people differently. So you realize the person is slow on one side, having tremor on that side. The muscle is stiff. Patients have difficulty turning in bed because that dopamine that enables you to move, it's reduced. So you are not able to move your body as you should. And then we have the advanced stages. They have postural instability. So you can see somebody shuffle, like they are walking like at a fast rate, but they are not really going fast. It's like they are shuffling. Sometimes they walk and freeze.
Oh, okay.
You realize their foot is on the ground and it takes them a while to start walking again. So those ones are related to movement, and then the voice becomes softer, low and softer and softer. You look at the face and you cannot tell whether they are happy or sad because the face gradually becomes a bit expressionless. As I mentioned, the muscles becomes rigid and stiff. And then the ones that are not related to movement, we have anxiety, we have depression, we have constipation, because your ability to move food from your mouth down your gut is movement.
That's right.
So in the same way, they do have that prolonged
just what you see on the outside also is reflected inside.
It's reflected, and they have constipation. And then sleep disturbance, we call it a REM sleep behavior disorder. So you realize the person is having vivid dreams and acts out the dream. So if you are by the person is throwing the hands about and acting out the dream. And research has shown that these symptoms that are not related to movement actually happen years before the movement challenges. And since these things are quite common, you can be constipated for other reasons. You can be anxious for other reasons. It's quite difficult to predict. But the sleep one, 40% of patients with REM sleep behavior disorder progress.
Who is most at risk, men or women?
Men.
Men. Why men?
That's what research.
Waiting man do man.
That's what research has shown globally.
Men stand a higher risk of getting it.
Yes, and in the elderly, above 60s, it's more prevalent in the above 60-year group. But gradually, we are seeing below 50 years patients with Parkinson's, and that's the alarming.
What's the rate and reach in terms of diagnosis in Ghana? Are we able to identify it quickly, and where do I go to check if I am okay?
Okay, so I would like to talk about the prevalence. Previously, we found that 12% of the patients we saw at neurology clinics in our major hospitals had Parkinson's disease.
Right.
There's been a prevalence study in Sogakope recently on the Volta region, which shows that 80 per 100,000 people in Ghana have Parkinson's disease. But we feel that's not a true reflection of what's on the ground, because most patients do not come to the hospital early. And then when people are slow and they're above 60s, you say that this person is old and it's just slow, but it could be Parkinson's disease. And then the other challenge is there's a lot of stigma related to neurological disease, epilepsies and strokes and Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's. And so people with challenges do not readily come to the hospital and visit other places before coming. So the rates, it's not, we don't believe that's a true trend. Now, if you need to be
we think sometimes it's spiritual.
Yes, and we think sometimes a cares or it's spiritual, so people don't show up to the hospital on time. But for diagnosis, you need to be seen by a doctor. So a neurologist, we have 16 neurologists currently to 33 million.
Only 16 of you?
Yes.
In Ghana?
Yes.
No.
33 million people.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 16.
Yes.
Are you serious?
So there's shortages.
Are you being serious?
Yes.
16
Yes.
neurologists
Yes.
in Ghana
Yes.
for over 30 million people.
Yes.
Why?
We don't have a lot of people venturing into that field.
Why did you go there?
I ventured into it because it's quite an interesting and challenging field. And, you know, for other specialties, I feel that everybody thinks brain health is complex. But your brain is a control center of your body. And that's so exciting. And it's so simple, but people find it very complex. And we are disabusing people's minds. So when you enter, you realize it's very challenging, but very exciting. And there's so much opportunity there as a doctor. So that challenged me. And in other ways too, people tend to stigmatize patients with neurological conditions. And I think it's an unmet need. And so somebody should be there to help people understand neurological diseases and also provide support for patients.
In your practice as a neurologist dealing with patients that have Parkinson's disease, what has been the eye-opening engagement for you? What would you say has been?
I previously felt that with education, educated people tend to, I believed that educated people tend to handle diagnosis of any condition better. But I realized that that wasn't the case. For Parkinson's disease, I met patients who I felt understood from the education understood the disease and would be able to handle it, but those were the people who were more prone to suicide attempts, which was quite shocking. And then so I realized that across spectrum, disease affects us all in a similar way, and education doesn't really change much. And for all of us, we need support. Everybody needs to feel, no matter your education level, no matter what you do, you need to know that there is support available. You need to understand the disease that you have. And that encouraged me to work with support groups, work with patients, understand the perspective of the disease from the patient.
Okay.
Because sometimes, so as a foundation, sometimes you think this is good for the patient because you're a doctor, because you're a clinician. But when you go to the patient, you realize, no, I want you to talk about my disease this way. Previously, we used to do conferences where cameras shoot on patients, you see their hands shaking, and then I'll come and talk about Parkinson's disease, and it goes away. And one day a patient said, "Doctor, it's stigmatizing. We are trying to fight stigma, but in our events, we are doing that." So it shifted our focus to doing more community-based engagement,
focus group conversation,
where whenever we have any event, we invite the public to show their support and to show that they are not alone, and to do things together with them so that the spotlight is not necessarily on them, but we are all coming together to provide awareness on the disease and, you know, to reduce stigma. So that's one key thing I've learned from the patients. If you want to help us from our perspective.
Right. Now, in terms of the families and the individuals, we've spoken about the toll it has on the individuals, but let's talk about the families and caregivers. What kind of weight does it put on them? I don't want to call it burden.
Well, it's difficult. One, because most caregivers do not understand the disease.
Okay.
And not people come to the hospital with different people. So for example, you may meet the wife, but the next time somebody else will come with the patient, or the patient is being taken care of at home, and the person taking care of the patient at home is not the one who receives the education in the hospital.
Okay.
So they do not understand the disease, do not understand what the patient is going through. So sometimes when they are anxious, they are depressed, they don't want to go into public, they don't understand why the patient...
Why are you refusing to go? Everybody is going to the wedding.
Yes.
Why do you want to be here?
Yes.
To do what?
And for patients who work with their hands, seamstress, you know, you need to use your hands. And if you have very bad tremors, you are not able to work. So the economic burden comes to fall on the other patient, the other people. They are the ones taking care of you, and they are the same people who have to find money to take care of the home. So it's very challenging, and their medications are not covered by insurance.
Yeah.
So imagine you have hypertension already, you may have diabetes already, and now you have Parkinson's. You need to buy the medication. And their care is not only in terms of medication. You need to be able to see a nutritionist to help you with your constipation issues. You need to see a physiotherapist to help engage your muscles. You need an occupational therapist to re-engage you in your work that you do. And even in your home, to be able to live a bit independently, maybe bars that you hold on to work and all that. And all these have to be paid for. So it's not like any other person going to the hospital getting drugs and you are fine. You need to visit all these multidisciplinary teams, and it's not covered by insurance as well. So there's a huge burden on the patient. It falls on the caregivers, and sometimes they are mentally drained. Some report to the support groups and they are drained mentally.
The quality of life has gone down.
Yes.
What strategies would you propose, or would you suggest to, or recommend, let me put it that way, to persons who are listening to us, who may have people that are affected by this disease and are taking care of them, or those who are listening themselves? What strategies do you propose that they can use to cope daily and have quality of life that is fit for purpose, if you will?
All right. The first thing is that if you are living with Parkinson's disease, you should know you are not alone. There are so many patients just like you, and there are teams of researchers both in Ghana, everywhere, fighting for a cure. So sometimes people feel I'm the only person who has it. You are not alone. There is hope for a cure. Secondly, as a caregiver and a patient, you need to find a support system.
Right.
So a support group. Accra has a Parkinson's disease support group here. There's a support group in Sogakope, there's a support group in Kumasi, and there are support groups opening up in Cape Coast and Tamale find yourself a support group. What it does is it gives you a community of people who understand you better, who will share experiences, because Parkinson's disease affects people differently and people progress differently in the disease. So you come, somebody who's telling you how they are able to sleep, and you learn from each other. And you're able to join activities that improve your mental health. Because sometimes if you isolate yourself, it makes your condition worse.
Right.
And we are also pushing for more education and more funding for community education, so that we will be able to pull patients in to come and be diagnosed early. And we are asking stakeholders, we want policy changes concerning the patients.
We'll come to the policy changes, but I'm curious to know, is there a cure for Parkinson's disease?
There is no cure.
There is no cure?
Yes.
Why?
It's a very complex disease, as I explained. And sometimes not knowing the exact cause of a disease, it's difficult to find a cure to it. But I can assure you there's a lot of research in Parkinson's disease. Even for those with genetic risk factors, there are companies trying to find medications to sort of treat these patients. So there's a lot of research, but it's manageable. There are medications to manage all the symptoms that Parkinson's disease comes with.
Okay.
So the motor challenges, there's medication
tremor
that gives you dopamine in your brain that reduces the tremor and makes your muscles a bit relaxed for you to function and have improved quality of life. The anxiety has treatment, the depression, all of that has treatment. And the other parts of treatment are exercise, all forms of exercise.
What about therapy?
Yes, very important, because it's very difficult to deal with a chronic condition that is progressive.
Are there foods that you are prevented from eating if you have this Parkinson's disease?
No, but we promote good nutrition for brain health, because it's a condition of
foods
the brain.
like what?
So balanced meals. Balanced nutrient-dense meals. But in Ghana, when we talk about balanced diet, we all have different ideas about
two balls of kinky, one small fish, some small pepper. That's balanced diet for somebody.
That is not balanced diet.
But that's somebody's balanced diet. Somebody's definition of balanced diet.
Yes. So usually we use a plate. So you have a plate. You divide a plate into 4.
Okay.
A quarter of it should be your carbohydrates. A quarter of it should be your protein, and half should form your veggies.
Go over that again. You divide the plate into 4.
4.
A quarter of that.
A quarter should be your carbohydrates. A quarter of it should be your proteins, and half should be vegetables.
Okay.
So you can imagine the wache you buy, and you buy a lot of wache and buy salad, 5 cedis. And
sometimes not even 2 cedis. So wache 15 cedis, salad 2 cedis. And then we'll buy egg, fish, and willy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, research has shown that in a day, you need 5 cups of vegetables. 5 cups. And cups is the cups we use for baking.
Coffee.
So you can imagine, even a full cup is a lot of veggies. And you need 5 cups a day. So we are not taking enough. So you have to spread it out in all your meals. Maybe have a sandwich with some lettuce. Pair your meals with veggies.
Then beyond that, lifestyle interventions. Some like to drink their wines. Big men, they like to drink their whiskey. Some like their beers. Some like their palm wine. Some like to smoke their cigars. They were big men, they still have it. Say, oh, Charlie, life is short and all that. What do you say about that?
So alcohol and smoking is not good for the brain or for your health. WHO says that no amount of alcohol is safe for your brain. No amount is safe for your brain, and classifies alcohol as a toxin. So WHO is the one that gives guidance about health worldwide.
Right.
So for brain health, anytime we talk about prevention of any neurological condition, we say alcohol is not safe for your brain and smoking is not good for your brain.
Now, how do I put it? Let's listen to Franklin Kujo.
Okay.
He recently declared to the whole world that he has Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
Listen.
Well, I've known for the past 5 years, I was 6 years, but it started 2 years earlier. It was only when I was diagnosed in 2020 that's when it dawned on me that also the previous years, the 2 years earlier, that sometimes I feel a little shake, elevated shoulders, and all of that. Incidentally, the doctor said, so it's Parkinson's. I said, well, all right, we'll live with it. That's what I said. It is a strange disease, I have to tell you. A disease that basically immobilizes you at some point. If you're not on medication, you everything you do is slow. You have to take your time. So it's a neurodegenerative disease. What it means that it affects the brain. There's no cure. It gets worse.
There's no cure.
Right now, you manage it with lifestyle adjustments, exercises, and then a bit of the medication as well. But this one, the reason why it's essentially a very crazy disease is that, like I said, it immobilizes you most of the time. And to get that kick from taking the medication, which is mostly levodopa, dopa, which contains some chemicals or entacapone and all of that. Once those ingredients are in the right proportion, you'll be fine. Woe to you, they're not in the right proportion. I think the moment you notice that any part of your body starts, there's a slight disorder, you feel like you're not able to move your leg, unable to move your hand, your shoulder be sort of dislocated without any fault of yours. I mean, it's as if you run into something. Please just note all the dates that these things happen. Because so people say all sort of demeaning things, but most of them were MPP guys. But as far as the government takes taxes from you and I to tell me I'll not go to the IMF, and then you go to the IMF, why should you still be in power? You should go. Look at what we suffered through the DTEP. The government was at sea. Ken didn't know Jack.
Yeah.
Look.
We'll talk about Ken Oforiatta later. But that's Franklin Kudio telling us about his condition, medication, etc. Did he speak from an informed point?
Yes, he did. And as I mentioned, he also spoke about the fact that it had challenges before the obvious visible tremor that everybody saw.
How dangerous is the belief that if you have a neurological problem and you start seeing the symptoms, you would attribute it to witchcraft, superstition, some spiritual attack on you? How dangerous is that?
It's so dangerous because some neurological conditions are treatable, and with medication, people live the full quality of life, like epilepsy. Once patients are dosed properly, they can live a near normal life for the rest of their life. So it's very dangerous to allude to cases or spiritual conditions to Parkinson's disease because it's manageable. And when people don't seek early care, they come to us advanced.
Right. And
it's more challenging to deal with an advanced case than an early case.
My guest in studio is Dr. Vida Obese. She is a senior physician at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. She's also the founder and leader of the Enidaso Parkinson's Disease Foundation. Joining us on the phone line now is a woman we would like to call Amma. She's a caregiver for a person living with Parkinson's disease. Amma, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
And how are you doing this morning?
Bibia
Boko. Ama. Yeda se pa se wenya butre a ode hwe oni akwa a wo hwe no. Na ye pese ye hu experience na te sen.
Okay, Ndamase. The friend of Vidak. We call him Mr. Na experience in the enough form. The first I had any year 17 years. 2019, yeah, Dr. Vidan. The beginning, a year no family. It's a hospital, and I'm from a I'm not transferring a BG. And Ukrainian meaning, they are the enemy who it's a boy after Obisi Yankoha, obisi yempa obisi eye ye friend say sunsun yade obisi adwumam ensem bebre and in fact ebe ha me ne memma but emuna na doctor no hwe ntamarin kachem antiviral yade wo yi no enye hospital sunsun yade enti se wudi akira wodi ku be chinchina obrakra wo mobi enti gina hospital mpo ni na akra na mente me ho ase enti ewo ma ye trameka se ye transfer ye ni ebeji ene ye besia Dr. Vida ano kurani ya mienimi Dr. Vida nyamishira no nyamishira Dr. Mark Dr. Vida na pam for de yankopon shira hom enti no ode me be France tie won so kira mi se yade no enye sunsun yade na ye yade a wo ho enti no me mama ninda ho mama yesa me kwa na ibetie Dr. Vida na nukureni ena form enroto ena form oba fufa won lab a oba ye ena form na nipa no so na wo hwe no wo fie no master ena form because adwene no eluwa adwene ekasa kire se didi etinye yira enti wo a wo hwe na wo de wa adwene begu sai me ma papa ye aduane ana me ma ni so ana otimi so ni wire free ne ma sankwala no kwa otimi bi same by the way you mu free na me so wo ma na ekasa
Right.
in fact yade ne de obi a nipa bi anya bi no enafom na ne hwa so edin wona wotin wanya abotre obasi sawo ne ma kwa jaba ma no se enafom enye easy sa ba ye be so no to ima enwo ni de na afi efie nyina tete afansam and in fact me be share Dr. Vida no oma ye kodwe anidaso eku ya mianim ni Dr. Vida so ye mu enam no so yenye ndo ni bi free ade hwe ye busuafo ye busuin Dr. Vida mama se me busuane de ya mia ye adom ye nije yenshia Dr. Vida na pam podia akana from fact if you to me jinja na meto na me su because me hu bi da isu awalu ku na wo mawi afedie ebe wi akire no ye wabe sie ni wa hu bi da na eye how ka sie ko se wo ma adwene ko atimi ayira aya pasa ni se so oni abiri wo fie wan hwe ni ye ko obetimi apraw anu na se wo kwan ya obefa so obedede na wona na kasa bai Dr. Vida da wo ma ni na bi wo ha oyiwa tenkrofo fie amana ne ba ma omde ye be fantasy ama ye hu se ya sabe enye ye nko na ye hu amana ni kura ni ye miani kasi ni na me ye bikuni yesu because ye hu bi da ba enam Dr. Vida so wa man krofo abakire emenne no ye be semi bia no already na wa kire ndada
Yo mate na ma mani ya he
if I show you my
6 na
matre
me tse we ni efi na ejuma de otumi ebi since asemi tu boy
se no minyejma 7 years ni minyejma bi because me na me dida if you say na ye buy no na se ni omo hihye nduro no ma me na nkwala ne se se me kokrom kwaton ade a omo papa nduro no enum na be ye basa ntina fi it is 7 years ni die It's a fee. Make sure me come.
Ma, bibi abe fine. Why?
Mache.
Yeah, that's a pass on your buttress near Kasai.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Mona Dr. Vida and Swasta May.
Oteha, Otio.
Na masole so a me portrait of guys so a door must say. The time that me may na say more doctors see on the atamachi and my mediation papa. I mean sure bibia me the moon na say.
Yeah, that's Suma. Thank you very much. And that's Mrs. Aka, married to Mr. Aka 7 years ago. She was informed about the situation. In fact, prior to that, they were in Tamale, where they were working, and they had moved from one place to the other, suspecting that it could be spiritual, it could be superstitious, it could be something else other than Parkinson's. Well, they had gone to a hospital one time after many trials, and then a doctor said, look, this is what I suspect is happening. So I will transfer you to the Confounded Teaching Hospital. That's where they got in touch with Dr. Vida Obese and some other Dr. Mark, she mentions, and who were there, who were very instrumental in trying to, work on the psyche and also tell them that, well, this is a disease that exists and they are not alone. It's happened before, but it can be managed, etc. And they went through a series of it. And she says that for the past 7 years, she hasn't worked before because the children came to a consensus that if she is a trader and has to go out there to go and cut goods, bring it, come and sell and go out there, then the medication schedule for the husband will be messed up. And the children came to a consensus that then they will take care of that so that she can be with the husband. And she says it gets to a point where sometimes the husband becomes violent, and you could even be in harm's way, and so you'd have to be very tactical and strategic in trying to talk him down and calm him down. And it said, well, initially when the news was broken to them, they didn't understand it, so they spent hours and hours on end crying until they met Dr. Vida and the team at Enidaso, and they got a better understanding. Consistently, people have been brought from overseas to come and help them with training and to let them understand the condition and how to manage and etc. And now she's doing well. She's grateful, has a grateful heart, and you should know, if you have any in your home, that you are not alone. And it brings me to the question. So this Enidaso Foundation, why did you set it up, Dr. Vida?
Yes, so the primary goal was to provide a hub for support groups and then also to provide education for clinicians,
right,
because we have a shortage of neurologists. So any doctor trained in Parkinson's disease or movement disorders can diagnose the patient and provide early care.
Right.
We realized there's low awareness, low knowledge of the disease. So public education was one of our major reasons for starting the foundation, and also to influence policy.
Right.
Because there are some, when it comes to medications and who sees which patients, those are stakeholders and government. So we want to be in the position to influence policy. And also in terms of their medication, find a way to provide medication support for patients.
Right.
So that's why we started it. And we started off with a support group, built it up as an Enidaso support group, and we realized we had to be bigger than that to be able to influence and do more work in Ghana.
She also mentioned that you have been and your foundation have been very instrumental in trying to get them some of the medication. Some are subsidized and some free. So how do you do that?
So it's not sustainable, but what we do is that we have partners that we speak to who provide free medication. There's some partnership from an Italian group that supplies free medication for Kolebu, Sogakope, Cape Coast, Tamale, and Kumasi.
Oh, all these places?
All these places, but it's not enough because we have more patients than medications.
How many patients do we have, at least under your watch?
In our clinic, we have more than 500 patients, but not everybody comes all the time. They come at different...
More than 500 people who are
on our registry.
Confirmed with Parkinson's.
On our registry. But we see them different times, yes.
Right.
And some people to support patients. So you can adopt a patient and decide to pay the drug for a patient every month.
How expensive is this?
It's quite expensive, but I think between 500 to 900 cedis. you can get this, the basic dosing for a patient, but there are some patients who are on a higher dose and we take it more frequently, so it may be more than that. So at least for the Parkinson medication, there are people who have adopted some patients and say, okay, I can take care of 2 patients every month, but it's not sustainable. We need a way that anybody with a disease.
How accessible are these drugs, these medications?
You have to be under a support group or a network.
Okay.
So, for example, if you go to Cape Coast Regional Hospital, there's a team that sees patients.
So if you prescribe for me,
yes,
in your capacity as a senior medical officer, how, if I walk into any pharmacy, can I find the medication to buy?
You have to be with a support group or a hospital. So Kolebu, when they get free medications, they give it to patients. There's a Parkinson's support group in Accra as well. And then in Sogakope, there's access to it. So for us as a foundation, one of the key things we do is that if you contact us, we can link you to the nearest
the support group that is closest to you.
Closest, or the nearest place that you can get care or get medication. So once you contact us, we can help with that, because we get calls every day from different places.
And where do we find Enidaso? Or how do we find you?
Enidaso Parkinson's Disease on all social media handles as Enidaso Parkinson's Disease Foundation. They can reach us by 054 11 11 726.
You need to take your time with that.
054
right
11 11 724. And then we have another line, 054 591
right
9887. 054 591 9887. So you can contact us, WhatsApp us, or you can contact us on social media. And if you have a family member, and we have a booklet called Understanding Parkinson's Disease that was generated with Parkinson's Africa. It has also been translated into Twi. Okay. So we have both the English version and the Twi version, and then we also have the audio version of the book. So when you contact us, we can share those copies so that you can listen as a family or share it with people who you feel should know. Great.
We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and we're also on social media, 3FM 927 on X, 3FM 92.7, and on your radio, 3FM 92.7 here in Accra. Before we go, some myths and facts. And I'd ask the first one. Parkinson's only affects old people. Is it a myth or a fact?
Partially, it affects old people, but as I told you, in recent times, we've seen young people get it. So it's mostly in the elderly, found in the elderly, but below 50 years. Now we are seeing the trend of patients getting it.
Tremors must be present to diagnose Parkinson's. Myth or fact?
It's a myth. Some patients do not have tremor. They have the stiffness and the slowness. So it is part of the symptoms, but you may have Parkinson's without the tremors.
Parkinson's is fatal. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Myth.
It's not fatal.
Exercise can actually improve symptoms. Myth or fact?
Fact, because exercise helps generate dopamine in your brain. So it's the most powerful protective mechanism for your brain.
Parkinson's is caused by spiritual factors or cases. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Franklin, could you say something that, well, the medications are quite expensive. You've confirmed that. Why is the government not interested in putting this on the NHIS if the prevalence rate is up there?
Well, I believe, I don't want to speak for government.
But you don't have to speak for government.
But I believe usually infectious conditions tend to get more attention than non-communicable diseases. But what I always tell any politician or any stakeholder is that it's a disease associated with aging. Every single day, we all are growing older, and we all have an old person in the home. And so neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, we should be paying attention to. And now we are all growing older, because previously infectious diseases were killing people and we were not living longer. Now we are living longer, and so we are seeing conditions that are associated with aging, and we are not ready for it, because Parkinson's disease is the fastest growing neurological condition in the world.
Fastest.
The fastest. And we are not ready for it. And so there's a need for more research into it locally. There's a need for patient support services to be activated, and there's a need for more education. And April 11th, which is a Saturday, is World Parkinson's Day. And so we are using cycling to raise awareness and fundraise
That's Saturday.
for Parkinson's disease, yes, at the Legon Sports Stadium from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So together with Ghana Cycling Federation, Yenko Mobility will be providing free e-bikes, and other sponsors, Lubes GH and Roche Ghana Limited. We are encouraging the general public to come cycle. It's good for your health, it's good for your brain, but we want to show support to patients and caregivers with Parkinson that they matter.
If you got a chance to change one thing about how Ghanaians think of mental health or neurological health, what would you change?
I would say that we have to see neurological conditions just like somebody having hypertension and diabetes. We don't stigmatize them. And they have this condition chronic. They live with it and they take medications every day. So just like every other condition, we are not immune to it. So we should provide care and support for any patient living with neurological condition. And we need to all do our part individually in our communities, in our churches. When you see somebody with a tremor, try to help the person and not laugh at the person or sell information around that the patient is cursed or has a spiritual condition. We all have a part to play.
Doc, I thank you very much indeed for this eye-opening conversation with you. I wish you all the best. And you want to repeat that number again so we can get people to connect with you either on social media, phone numbers. Let's do that again.
Okay, so Enidaso Parkinson Disease Foundation on Facebook, Instagram, and the numbers are 054 1111 724 and 054 591 9887.
Dr. Vida Obesi, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful that you joined us here, and keep doing the good work that you are doing for Mother Ghana and for everybody else. Now it's time for birthdays, and then we'll check out of the studio. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you. We wish you long life and prosperity.